Hey guys, so I have a Systema PTW to do a video on. So I did a video on this about 3 or 4 years back. This is my brother's. I got quite a lot of views on it, so I'm trying to hit the gold mine here on this one as well. It's just very popular. These guns are really popular. Release videos on them because they're so freaking expensive. So this is my brother's. I don't honestly know exactly what's inside of this, so please don't quote me on it. I think it's maybe a 2007 PTW or 2008, I think is what it is. There's so many different kinds, and they're pretty much all the same. The internals rarely change. There's like the Supermax, which supposedly, from what I heard, is a high torque gear set, or maybe it's a high speed. I cannot remember for sure. So I'll just try to explain as much as I can on this gun, but don't be upset if I don't know anything, because I hardly do PTWs. Alright, so let's start from the back. So they do come with these crane stocks that have plenty of room on the sides. In fact, this is my crane stock off of one of my M4s, and then I have one of these Systema PTW stocks on my SR25. They're just cool with the rubber pad, or the felt pad. It's not rubber, it's felt. With that pad on the side and plenty of storage on the side tubes. These are really popular for, you know, AEGs, just for standard AEGs, because of the storage of the batteries. And a few brands have actually copied this and made their side panels as big as these. I assume Systema is probably the first company that started doing that, and then some companies copied, because it's a great, there's so much space inside the crane stock tubes. It's got a metal buffer tube, and it's silver, so I think this is indicative of the 2008 to 08, but I could be wrong. It's got an ambi-sling mount on the side, Magpul pistol grip, metal body that was painted. I believe it was painted, and my brother took off the paint. It's got just some KAC sights on here right now, and a pretty cool dust cover on here that is, I think one of the sponsors sent him that. It's got the American flag on both sides. The rail system on here used to be mine. It is a Viking Tactics. I think it's 12 inches. It's a really modular rail system, and these are actually pretty hard to find. This might even be a real one. I cannot remember. He's also got an RVG that is built in on the front, or not, sorry, it's BCM. So whatever BCM calls this. It looks kind of like an RVG. And then a rail over here, maybe for a flashlight, and then just a standard flash hider. It does have cool markings on the barrel. It says 7.62 NATO. 5.56 NATO. 1 and 7. Even says the MP marking on there. So pretty cool. As far as internals, again, I'm not 100% sure what's in here, but there is an RWA hop-up, and I think there's an Orga barrel or some sort of, might even be an RWA barrel. I can't remember. Inside the upper cylinder, it's got the Systema gold cylinder. I think there's a 120 in here. The motor in here, I think, is Etni. I think the electronics are Systema. And, again, the cylinder stuff, I think Systema as well. I'm pretty sure. Now, one of the reasons I got one of these guns, and I ended up getting rid of it, and there's a couple reasons why. These are retarded expensive. These, you can get the North American ones for like $2,200, $2,500 for an airsoft gun, which is outrageous. You can build an insanely upgraded Polar Star. You can build an insanely upgraded AEG to get like any rate of fire you want for half the cost of this. So for those people out there that are considering one of these, you can build a much better gun for half the price, or as good of a gun. Let me not say better, as good of a gun for $600, $700, $800, maybe up to $1,000. You know, any externals you want, you know, BTC MOSFET, high-speed gears, high-torque motor, like all of the good parts you can have for under $1,000 and have an insane rifle that shoots as good as a Systema. But these, a lot of times people buy these because they have more money than they know what to do with, or whatever the case, and they do American Milsims, they do these ops, and there's also, they don't know how to work on guns, because the companies that sell these offer like warranties and stuff, so if something happens, you send it back. Like Z-Shot does some of that stuff. You send it back, their technicians will fix it, tune it up, and then send it back to you at no charge, stuff like that. But for me, I build guns like pretty much for a living, so I don't need somebody to do that for me, so that doesn't appeal to me. But I'll tell you, it appeals to some people, and some people just want to drop $2,000 on a gun and just go play with it and expect it to work perfect. There's issues with these guns as well. Some issues that I can't get past. So for a few issues for me is, I'm going to do main issues. I'm not going to say, oh, the magazines are different than standard AEG. Of course they are. I'm not going to, say crap like that. I'm going to say that the parts for these things are retarded expensive. So Systama, all the companies that produce parts for this gun have not adapted to the airsoft market. When Systemas came out in 2007, 2008, they didn't have BTCs. There were no manufactured, high production quantity of MOSFETs of any kind, any good ones. So these came stock with an ECU MOSFET, a cycle completion, really crisp trigger response. You couldn't get that out of guns at the time, and that's why these were popular. Now you can buy BTCs and get more features than this. So you can adjust pre-cocking, motor braking. You can do all that with the BTC, and you cannot do that with this. So they really just started making the same thing. They did like a recoil system, which had the magazine and the battery, and a lot of people didn't like that. I wouldn't like that. I like this system. The price tag is the main issue. The MOSFET and the trigger board, the ECU, the motor, they're like $200, $300, $400 for like top of the line Etni, Systama motors and electronics. They are so expensive, and I cannot justify spending that much money because I spent about $800 to $1,000 on a real AR-15. I cannot justify spending $250 on a motor when I can buy an HPA engine for that. So I got rid of mine. I really liked mine, but I was having issues with motor and the MOSFET system. Like all the wiring, they're not nicely made. I'm considering purchasing an A&K one again because I had an A&K before. Some people are like, oh, that's why you're going to have issues. But if I can spend $300 for a brand new A&K one or spend $1,500 plus for a brand new Systema, it doesn't make any sense to spend $1,500. I'm not going to spend that much. So I'm going to spend money on the cheap ones and then run it until it breaks. But when it does break, you're going to have retarded expensive costs to fix, which is kind of where it left me not wanting it anymore. So I run, HPA engines, Polar Star engines, V12s. I have tons of those, and all my other AEGs either have BTCs or they have, basic MOSFETs and stuff like that. So this just doesn't appeal to me. The sound that it makes is very unique, but there are some advances on this that are awesome. The bolt lock feature, how it stops shooting, that is incredible. I don't want an ERG where it's got that physical recoil, but all the internals are mechanic. The trigger contacts are mechanical. There's no electronic cutoff for the magazine. It's just mechanical. And that left me, desiring something more when I had my ERG. The magazines also are inherently problematic sometimes because the little follower that sits in here is loose inside of there. So you literally dump it upside down, pull the little tabs, and that follower is falling on the ground and getting lost. It's the size of a BB. But then there's another part in there that's like the second follower. So I don't know why they don't just make it one follower, and so you don't have them falling apart. That's one of the big cons about these, because as soon as you get the mags, you go play with them once, those little things are popping out. And I know they make colored ones, but they're still going to pop out and get lost. So that is one con to these. They should just have a one-piece follower so that you don't have that issue of losing it. So again, let's shoot this a little bit. The sound that these things make are so clean, it's so crisp. It sounds so different when you hear somebody shoot this. When I watch gameplays of American Milsim and Milsim West, and you can hear when somebody's shooting a Systema, because whether or not it's a CTW or a copy, it doesn't matter. This system, you can hear it, the sound that it makes. It's like a whirling sound. Some people hate the sound. This one sounds incredibly clean, incredibly. This makes me want to get an AK one, and maybe I will, just for fun. Are they practical? Sure, for indoor you could use them. I'm more of a speed softer, okay? So I like the BTCs with pre-cocking, the high-speed motors, high-speed gears, those sort of guns, higher rate of fire outdoors. But indoors, I could probably use something like this. far as the trigger response, there's no lag on it at all, so I can just sit here and hammer the trigger and it'll keep up. It's not lagging. Some of the electronics do that, like G and D, their electronics lag, and some of the A and K ones do, but not the newer ones. See, I can just sit there and hammer, just like a BTC, so it's no slouch. Again, I'm using G&G 2.5s. This is a Celsius magazine, and it shoots pretty good. No BBs clogging or anything, but I'd probably use .3s in this. Okay, it stopped shooting. Take the magazine out. Since the follower's gone, there's still a BB there, but it is pretty much empty. Dry fire as you hit the button. So let's switch mags. Oh yeah, let's try some full auto here. Extremely consistent. I mean, this thing is shooting 230 feet with these 2.5s. Like, it is insane. FPS wise, let's get a chrono reading. 2.5s, 328, 328, 329, 329, 329. 327, so pretty consistent, up or down like 2 FPS. Joules is 1.25 with a 2.5, so this is probably seeing 370 with a 0.2 with hop-up adjusted over-hopped with 2.5s, so it's not quite 400. If I ran one of these, honestly, I'd probably just do CQB FPS, because outdoor I just have so many other guns I can use. Indoor, I do have a bunch of guns that I can use as well. I don't know. We'll see when the time comes if I do end up buying one. Alright guys, so I'm back out here again with the Systama to shoot. It's like 65 degrees out here and it's December 2nd, so it's incredibly nice out here, so I figured I'd shoot a few mags because when I was trying to film the other portion of this video, it was kind of dark out. Like that, that's not going to damage the gun, but if you put your finger in the trigger guard and start just going in, it's not going to be good for your micro switch. So if you have any questions or anything, let me know. Stay tuned. Again, I'm getting my own PTW. I, again, don't plan on doing anything with it. The person that's selling it to me is rebuilding the motor with an FCC core and new brushes. And brush springs. He's going to rebuild the motor, install it, send me a shooting video, and then I'm going to purchase it for $300, which is about half of what it's worth. Honestly, with 8 mags, 6 or 8 mags, I forget what, how many are included, but that's easily worth $600 for what he has inside the gun, and I'm getting it for $300, which is just incredible. So I can't pass up that offer, considering ever since I got rid of my PTW, I've just been thinking, I want one, but they're stupid expensive. There's so many issues with them. But I'm just gonna send it and buy one.